Hey folks, Mark Lewis here, and this is going to be a little bit of an ad hoc session, but that's what I promised last week. Things that are top of mind, topic du jour, etc. And this week I am at the WERC Conference, Warehouse Education and Resource Council Conference. I mentioned that last week in New Orleans, and happened to run into an old colleague of mine and sat in his session earlier today, and I thought, this is perfect. So this is why we're here. I'm going to bring Amin on. I'll let him introduce himself here in a second. And we're going to talk very briefly about AI in the warehouse, which I mentioned last week was just everywhere right now. And I think it's going to be something you're going to hear a lot about in these sessions. So we don't take too long. Amin, would you like to do a quick introduction of yourself?
Sure. Yep. Thanks, Mark. And thank you for having me on. Known Mark for a long time now. I've been in supply chain warehousing for about 30 plus years, various different companies, EXE, Oracle, etc. And I've always run into Mark. We work together or at conferences. Last couple of years, my focus has been on really figuring out how to use AI to improve the life for the warehouse worker. Right? Fundamentally, my thesis is that the job of a warehouse worker, the job of a warehouse manager hasn't substantially changed in the last 20, 30 years. And now that we have this new technology, what can that do for us, right? That's kind of what we are exploring at Syncratso.
Yeah, for sure. And I sat in a session this morning, and which was primarily about adding AI into inside the four walls of the warehouse, and how do you do putaways, where do you slot product, and all of that. And a follow-up question that a woman asked was, one, what size of warehouse and facility are you putting this in? And then my follow-up question to that was, okay, you've got two different types of facilities. On top of that, you've got people that have nothing, that are still running paper, and then people that already have a WMS.
Yep. And
my specific question was, for the people that already have the WMS, because that'll be a lot of them that we talk to, how much additional improvement and why are you seeing by adding AI into the mix?
Obviously, it varies, with all the usual caveats, but it's surprising. Even with people that have been using sophisticated WMS systems, we are seeing at least 35% increase in productivity. And I think it speaks to the fact that this technology is just, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. Even if we have a sophisticated system that we can achieve with AI. That's what we say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Per my comments earlier, you can have a WMS. I've been in this since before the word WMS is almost, we were joking earlier about how old I am. Almost all the WMSs use, I'm going to say ladder logic. It's not, but it's like if, then, else, and here's some criteria, and it's fixed. And even if you do a really good job the first time you turn it on, and I will say from experience, not everybody does that. At best, you get a snapshot and it worked really well. And I know our experience is the same on this. Go into that same system 5 years later, and it is not. It is usually very, very suboptimal. So even, you going from paper to a WMS, industry standard, 20% or so. That's true right then. And then it slowly degrades over time. What I like about AI is its ability to be flexible, to get trained, and hopefully, and that's what I want to ask you about really fast, add in the ability to keep updating those rules, if you will, on the fly. Because I think that's a huge hole right now.
And I think that's exactly right, Mark. I mean, WMS systems are great at what they do, but they're transaction processing systems, right? AI, I think, functions best as a recommendation system, right? To your existing WMS, right? Looks at everything that's going on and then tells you what you should focus on today, right? And then the WMS is great at executing that and making sure you're making the most of your resources. But what should you do today? I think that comes from the AI, because things change too much, both from a macro perspective, who knows what's happening.
Well, particularly today, and that's not the subject of this session, but with the tariffs and trades and everything going on, I play a lot in that area as well, and it's just, I was going to use a word I don't want to use probably, it's not stable right now.
Yes. I think that can be said in general, yes, not stable.
Yeah, and then again, that goes back to, hey, if you've got ladder lodge, you get set rules, works great, stability, it does not work great right now. I promised everybody these were not going to be long sessions, and I know Amin's got to run. He's got to go catch a plane. So tell him your company one more time. I do think I've known this guy forever. He knows what he's talking about. So how to best get in touch with you?
I just check it out at Syncratso.com. It's synkrato.com, and hopefully you find this useful.
Fantastic. Thanks, Amin. Thank you all, and I will talk to you next week.